everyone, it's Hannah from Highland Crochet, and today we are making my Hawthorne Tee. This is a new pattern which is free on the blog or available as a PDF to purchase, or the other option is to purchase it as part of the summer designers blog hop that I'm hosting. I'll leave all the links and all the details of where you can find the pattern in the description below. It's a really cute summer tee, as you will have seen from the pictures, that has a lovely, really nice V-neck that sits just above your bust, and then a cuffed short sleeve, a band for the middle, and then a bottom section of herringbone crochet, which gives a really nice texture. So the things to say about the pattern are that it's much easier than it looks. Again, I know I always say that, but it really is. All we need to do is make 2 rectangles for the sleeves, and the cuffs are worked within the sleeves, so you don't need to worry about adding those afterwards. And then we just work in rounds, and you can make the whole thing fit you however you would like. You can make your sleeves deeper, you can make your neckline deeper, you can make it higher, you can make this band longer, wider, you can make it not exist at all, you can make the bottom section start here. You can do whatever you like with it. It's really easy to customize, and so I'm going to show you how to do that as we work through the tutorial, because there's a few things to think about before you decide how you're going to do it. But to start with, let's have a look at what materials we're going to need. To make the top, I chose to use Hawthorne fingering weight yarn from WeCrochet, which is really lovely to work with. This one is slate kettle dye, and you get, as you see, 357 yards and 100 grams. And all the details for all the yardage that you will need is in the blog post, which I will link in the description here. And the sizes are from extra small to 5X. You'll also need a size 4.5mm or G+ crochet hook, and this is a Furls Streamline wood. You might find it useful to have a stitch marker on hand. I don't generally use stitch markers that much, but for this I did, just to keep track when I was going in rounds and couldn't quite see where I was, and a pair of scissors and a tapestry needle for your ends, although there aren't many ends at all. So the first thing I wanted to show you was how to decide what size to make and how you can then customize it. So the best way I think of showing you that probably is to show you these sleeves that I have made but not yet joined together, because that will hopefully explain how the neckline works for you. So as you see, these sleeves are just rectangles, but then with a cuff section added on the end, which pulls them in slightly. And these then get folded over to become the top. And then your middle section is worked in rounds along here. And you go round and round, so that sets the width of your top. So I would suggest choosing the bust size, finished bust size, that represents you best, or you would feel most comfortable, because it does have some positive ease in the top. And then you can make your armhole depth, which is going to be this section here, as deep as you like. The way you do that, as we work, I will explain more, but the way you do that is just add a couple more rows of this repeat. This is just a 2-row repeat that you can add a few more, and that will just increase your armhole depth. It will obviously then increase your neckline, but a good way around that is the design has the neckline sitting just like that, but a few of my testers got on really well by then adding a few stitches in here, just some slip stitches on the inside to join the neckline together, or so you could sew it. That also looks really nice, and it just gives you a much more customizable neckline depending on the size of your bust and how you want the top to sit. So if you go ahead and choose the bust size, the garment bust size that you would like to make, and grab the numbers that you need for that, and I'll meet you back here and we'll start making. For the example today, I'm going to be making a medium size from the pattern. So we begin with the first sleeve by making a slip knot on the hook, and then we make a foundation chain of 49. Now for row 1, which is going to be your right side, we're going to work a stacked double crochet. I'm speaking in US crochet terms here. Stacked double crochet in the second chain from the hook. So we are going to do your first single crochet of your stacked, and then we work into this part of the stitch here now to do our second, and then again in this part of the stitch here to do our third, and that's your stacked double crochet. Now we're going to chain one, and we're going to skip the next two, so 1, 2, and working in this next one here we're going to work 3 double crochet all in that same space. And now we're going to chain one, skip the next two, and then double crochet into the next. And that is our 7-stitch repeat for the row. So now we launch into the next. We're going to have a double crochet in the next stitch, chain one, skip 2, 3 double crochet in the next, chain 1, skip 2, and double crochet in the next. So let's do that repeat one more time. So double crochet in the next stitch, chain 1, skip 2, 3 double crochet in the next, chain 1, skip 2, and double crochet in the next. So now we carry on working that 7-stitch repeat to wherever your cuff begins. So that's a different place for different sizes. So make sure you refer back to the pattern for how many then it will be the last 6 stitches for all, but the end of your row may be slightly different depending on what size you're making. So just watch out for that. So you go ahead and get to the last 6 stitches of your row, and then we'll work the cuff together. And now we've arrived at the last 6 of this row, and we're going to work a half double crochet into the back loop only, which I know for chains is a strange thing to say, but I just work it as I am now, and that makes it sit nicely. And this also is going to be the seam underneath your arm, so don't worry too much about which loop you go through for this part. And you're going to work a half double crochet in the last 6, and that's your cuff. And that's row 1 complete. So now we need to turn our work. And now the cuff section for each repeat is going to be the same. We're going to work a chain 1 here, and then we're going to work in the back loop only. So turn your stitches on the top so that you can see this back loop. We have 3 loops on the half double crochet. This is the third loop, or the extra loop that you get, the front loop and the back loop. So we want that back loop, and we're going to do a half double crochet in the back loop of these 6 of your cuff. And now, as I say, each size is slightly different. You might find that you have a few more stitches here before you start the pattern repeat. But for the size I'm making, we launch straight into the pattern, which is going to be a double crochet, chain 2, and then we're going to double crochet these 3 stitches together. So to do that, we begin a double crochet in the first one, but whereas we would normally yarn over and pull through, we're not going to do that. We're going to yarn over and start a double crochet in the next stitch, yarn over and pull through. So we've now got 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and start a double crochet in the next one, yarn over and pull through 2, and now we've got 4 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all of the loops, and then we chain 2 and we skip this chain here, and then we're going to work a double crochet into the next. So that is now our 7 stitch repeat, and we're going to work that until the end of the row now. So we're going to work a double crochet, a chain 2, and now we're going to do these 3 stitches together, double crochet those together. So that's the first part of the stitch, the second part of the stitch, and the third part of the stitch, and then yarn over and pull through all of the loops on your hook, chain 2, and then a double crochet in that next double crochet. So that again is your 7 stitch repeat there. So we'll do it once more, a double crochet, a chain 2, and then double crochet these 3 together, chain 2, and then a double crochet. And so we carry on that repeat to the end of the row, and I'll meet you back here to start row 3. So we complete the row with a double crochet in the last stitch, and now we turn to begin row 3. If you look at the written pattern, we now know that rows 1 and row 2 create the set pattern. So all we now need to do is keep repeating rows 1 and 2 for the amount of rows that it tells you to on the pattern for your size. However, as I said, if you want I would try it on against you once you've kind of stretched it out. You'll see that it does have a good amount of stretch in it. Try it on as you work and see if you'd like your arms to be slightly deeper. See what fits, see what feels comfortable on your arms. So to begin row 3, we're going to work a stacked double crochet straight into that stitch, no chains, nothing to worry about there, because this is going to be the side of your neckline. And I found that if you do any chains or anything extra, it doesn't make as neat a finish as if you just go for the stacked stitch. Then we're going to chain 1, we're going to skip these 2 chains here, and then into this stitch that we did the 3 together, we're now going to work 3 separate double crochets. We chain 1, skip the next 2 chains, and then double crochet into the next. So you see it all lines up as a set of 7 stitches, and you carry on that repeat until you get to your cuff. And then you're going to work a half double crochet as you did in row 1 into the back loop only of the 6 stitches of your cuff. And then when you've completed that row, you're going to go ahead and repeat row 2. And then you just carry on with that set pattern, so rows 1 and rows 2, until you have the correct amount of rows for your sleeves. So if you go ahead and finish this sleeve, and then meet me back here because sleeve 2 is worked as a mirror image, so I'll just show you how we begin that, and then we'll be ready to join them together. Now you've completed your first sleeve and we're ready to start the second, you'll see in the pattern that it's actually just a mirror image of it. And so the only difference is that we start the cuff at the beginning of the row here, as opposed to having it at the end, as we did with the last one. So this just means you could do it the other way. You could make the sleeves both matching, but the stitches would just be a little bit back to front and not quite right. I'm not sure anyone would notice, but you would know and you would notice. So this is a way of getting them all running in the same direction. So to make the cuff at the end of this row, all we're going to do is working in the second chain from the hook you're going to do your 6 half double crochet here instead of at the other end. And then we just need to launch into the 7 stitch repeat that you already know and you've done for your last sleeve. So it's a double crochet, chain 1, skip 2, 3 double crochet in the next, but this is the point where it may be different depending on what size you are making, so beware of that and just make sure you check. Miss 2 and then double crochet in the next. So that's your 7 stitch repeat, and you go along to the end because now this will be where your neckline will sit. And then row 2 of this next set pattern, as you can probably guess, your patterning starts here and you work along and you work your cuff at the end of the row as opposed to the beginning of the row as you did with your first sleeve. So if you go ahead and complete this second sleeve, and then I will meet you back here and we will join them together and magically have a top to wear. Now that you've finished your sleeves, we are ready to join them and work the bottom section of the top, the main body of the top. Now I would suggest blocking these before you join them because it's much easier to block them flat because they will be folded over once your top is created, and it's a lot easier to pull the lacework out and make it look nicer as they are flat. So do that first and then we are ready to join. So once your sleeves are blocked, we need to lay them out so that your cuffs are obviously at opposite ends, but just be careful that you have them facing the right direction. So the direction of the stitches need to match like for like. And that's why we did the sleeves as mirror images of each other. So this is the back of the stitch here, and that's the back of the stitch here on that row. You're going to get your yarn and you're going to join it. We're not going to do anything with the cuff to join them because the cuff will join to the cuff on the opposite side to make your little sleeve. We are just going to work in the 7th stitch from the hook. So that is your cuff is your 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches. So we're going to join to this one here. So join your yarn to the 7th stitch from the hook, and you're going to chain 1 to give yourself a bit of room to move, and you are going to work a half double crochet in each stitch along. So these chains, you can either work into the chains or you can just work into the chain space, whichever you like. And whichever way you've laid your sleeves out is now going to be, this is the right side of our work because we're going to carry on working in rounds. So now we have a half double crochet in each of the stitches along, apart from your cuff, which you don't need to worry about now. We're going to now take our second sleeve and just continue along, working a half double crochet. As you see, I never weave in my ends right until the very end because I'm always worried about having to undo them. We're going to go straight across and work a half double crochet in each stitch along here. Just as we did in the other side of the sleeve. And so for the size I'm making, the medium, we have 48 stitches, including the cuff. So then if we take away the cuff, that gives us 42. So you're going to do 42 stitches along one sleeve, and then you're going to do 42 stitches along this second sleeve here, up to your cuff. So just for whatever size you're making, do a half double crochet in each stitch apart from your cuff stitches. So now I've got to where the cuff is. We're going to finish there, and we're going to, this is the bit that's fairly fiddly, but once you've done it, you only need to do it once and then it's done. You need to turn your work not over, but rotate it so that this sleeve folds over and folds in half. And now we're going to skip the 6 of this cuff. We've missed this cuff, we're going to miss this cuff, and now we're going to work the half double crochets along the edge of here. And this is going to be what turns it into a round project now. So we just carry on, find your 7th stitch from the hook. So that's going to be this one. And work a half double crochet. Now don't worry too much if that bit doesn't look all that lovely, because this is going to be the only seam of the entire thing, but you're going to seam this up and you'll be able to snag that in there. It won't be a problem at all, and it will be underneath your arm. You can make it look much neater. So we just work along this side of this sleeve now with a half double crochet in each, and you've probably already guessed how we then join the second sleeve. Now we've come to the last stitch before your cuff, and you complete that half double crochet in there, and now we're going to, that's your round one, but we've not yet turned it into a round. You need to turn your work so that you're always working downwards now in this direction. And we're going to work in continuous rounds now. So no joining, no slip stitching before you start the next round. So that's why a stitch marker might be useful at this point. And we're going to simply work rounds 2 to 12, a half double crochet in each stitch around. So remembering that for your half double crochet, you've got your front loop, your back loop, and then this third extra loop. Just always work, you'll get the nice ridge part if you just work in the front and the back loop section here. So leave that third loop on display, because I think it creates a really nice texture. And all you're simply going to do is, before you get too far, pop yourself a stitch marker in your first stitch so that you don't get lost. But it is fairly easy to navigate where you are. And then just work rounds 2 to 12, or however many rounds you'd like to. So I've had lots of different people test this top, and they're all different shapes and sizes. Deliberately asked lots of different people of shapes and sizes, and some people carried on in this stitch the whole way and really liked that. Some people didn't use this at all. They didn't want the band in their top, so that's fine. You can just skip to the next part. Just do your half double crochet round here, your first round, and then skip to the next part of the top. It really can be however you would like it to be, but for me 12 rounds sat really nicely. So the great thing now about the fact that you have joined your top together is that you can try it on. You can make it now as long as you like, as short as you like. You can do anything now because you can model it. You can try it as you go. So carry on in this direction, and you'll see this is your V-neck shape. We're upside down obviously, but that's the direction of our work now. And you've got rounds here, we are joined, and you're just going to go round and round your top for this main body first section, so this half double crochet section, until you're happy and until you're ready to start the next section with me. Once you've worked as many rounds as you'd like of this middle band section, so there's 12 in the pattern, but you can do as many or as few as you like. I've just done 2 here. We're now ready to work the final section of the top, which is another nice 2 round repeat that is really easy to do. So to begin the next round, we are going to work a stacked double crochet in this first stitch. So we have 1, 2, and 3 to get it to the height you need it to be. And then we're going to work a herringbone double crochet in each stitch around. So we yarn over. Herringbone stitches are very similar to normal stitches, but there's one tweak. We're going to yarn over and pull through, and as you pull that through, you're going to also pull it through the first loop, and then you're going to yarn over, pull through that loop there, and then yarn over and pull through 2. So it ends up giving us an extra little piece of a stitch, and it slants sideways as well. So we'll go again, yarn over, pull through a loop and pull it through that first one, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. One more time is yarn over, go through your stitch and pull through a loop and pull through your first loop, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. So you're going to work that all the way around until you get back to your first stack stitch that you worked. So if you want to go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you back here for the second round of this repeat. Now that you've completed that round, we've got back here to this stack stitch of the first stack stitch of the previous round. And to begin the next round, we're going to work another stack stitch directly into that. So no slip stitch to join or anything like that. We're continually working here, and we're working a stacked double crochet into that stitch there. And the reason I did that is that by trial and error, I found that actually these stacked stitches sitting on top of each other, I don't know if you've experienced it before, but generally in crochet, if you do a slip stitch and a chain, or even if you work in rounds, it tends to rotate your work and it moves in this direction. And I found that the stacked stitches on top of each other here like this actually really don't rotate as much as normal stitches do. I don't know the whys and wherefores around that, but that's what I've found. And so for this next round, we've done our first stack stitch, and now we're just going to work a double crochet in each stitch around. So these stitches underneath are our herringbone stitches from the round below, and you're just going to do a really simple double crochet in each. So those 2 rounds, the herringbone stitch and now this double crochet, they're the repeat for the rest of the top. So you carry on working them for as long as you'd like your top to be, or as short as you'd like your top to be. And just keep working those stack stitches on top of each other to start your round, and your side seam, because this obviously is sat underneath your cuff, so that will be down the side of you and isn't very noticeable anyway, will be much neater than if you do any chains or anything else there. So just keep working like this and do these 2 row repeats until you're happy with the length of the top. Again, you can keep trying it on and deciding how you would like it. The pattern calls for you to repeat to round 54, and that's designed to be kind of just sitting just above your hip. But obviously we're all different shapes and sizes, so just repeat it for as many rounds as feels comfortable for you and you'd like to wear. One of my testers actually made this into a dress, and it looks absolutely awesome. She just kept going and then did another little band section of this half treble stitch at the very bottom, and with a belt it looks amazing. So just to show you, this is where, I'm not sure if you can see it, but this is where the stack stitch seam is. This is underneath the arm here, and the stacked stitches sit really nice and neatly, and that then is the side of your top, and it sits under your arm and you will not notice it at all. So once you have got your top to the length you'd like it to be, you just need to weave in all of your ends. Adjust your neckline if you'd like to. You can close it more, you can leave it as it is. And then we just need to seam the insides of the cuffs here. So I did it from the wrong side facing, so on the inside, and you can either slip stitch it or you can sew the seam, just whip stitch the seam, whichever you prefer. And don't forget also to close that little gap there if you have one, and just neaten up and block your top, and it is ready to wear. I really hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I've had great fun designing and making this top, and I'm really excited to see how you make yours and how you customize yours. If there's anything that you would like help with to work out how to customize it to be a certain shape or size, then please reach out to me and let me know. I'd be really excited to help you with that. It would also be great if you could subscribe and tap the bell button, because then you'll get notified when I release new patterns and tutorials like this one. Thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.